Welcome back to the Gleeson New Homes podcast. We created this podcast to help our customers on their journey of buying a new build home, and we've covered a range of topics so far. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can check them out on Spotify, Apple Music or YouTube by searching for the Gleeson Homes podcast. We're thrilled to announce that due to popular demand, we're back with another episode on our build stages. We've invited Gary Davies, the Senior Site Manager here at Tulip Fields, where we're recording this episode, and Debra Bargh, Systems Trainer, who was previously a Field Sales Executive at Gleeson, to join us. There have been some changes since we last spoke about our building stages, and we're delighted to have Gary and Debra here to talk about our customer journey and talk us through from slab to finish. So, welcome to the podcast, guys. Thank you for joining me. Can you give us a quick overview of yourselves and your job here at Gleeson?
Sure. Shall I go first?
Yes, you go first.
Yeah. So I'm Debra. I am the Systems Trainer here at Gleeson now, which is quite a new role for me. But I've been previously a sales exec working in field sales for the last 5 years. So I've seen it all. I've seen some massive changes within Gleeson. But yeah.
I'm Gary Davies. I've been with Gleeson Homes now for the last 3.5 years. I'm a Senior Site Manager here at Tulip Fields. And it's great to be building houses for everybody that needs them, and what I'm aspiring to is to get an NHBC Pride in the Job Award, and that's really passionate to me going forward, and I think it is across the whole of Gleeson's sites.
Absolutely. So in this episode, we're talking all about the build stages and kind of giving a bit of clarity to our potential customers and what that means at each stage for them, and kind of how the journey looks from because it's the exciting part of getting a new build. You don't, when you're buying a second hand home, you don't get the excitement of kind of seeing your house being built from slab to start. So we've got 21 in total. Gary, can you talk us through the first few stages of when the homes get built?
Yes, of course. So the first stage that we do is the excavations of the ground. That we work very closely with our technical team, and depending on the site soil conditions, that can vary from different foundation styles. That excavation is what we call a number one. We have one as the first build stage, right up to 21. Once we've done the excavating and concreted, we start to then build the block work, brickwork, stonework, depending on elevation treatment and planning conditions for type of property or plot we're going to put on. And then we go up to internal drainage, and then we concrete the floor slab, power float it, and then put a scaffold margin around, ready for the next stage, which is the brickwork, which we call stage 5, which is first lift brickwork.
So I can imagine for our customers, it's incredibly exciting starting to see their home come to life a little bit. How do we, throughout the start of the progress, how do we kind of, if our customers have reserved at stage 1, how do we keep them up to date with the journey?
Yeah, well, that's something really we'll determine when they're doing the reservation. So we'll have a chat with the customers, find out how often they want. Sometimes customers only want an update when we reach a milestone. So right. I think when they're reserving very early on in the process, as interesting as all that stuff is, Gary, the customers are not really interested in seeing all the stuff going in the infrastructure. What they want to see is the house going up.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes when they're reserving very early, so they don't see the house going up. And when it starts getting really interesting for the customer is when it starts going up and up and up. So, So we'll kind of determine how often we're going to update the customers at reservation. The standard would be we'll call them every week and give them a bit of an update as to where we are with their home every week.
Amazing. So we got up to stage 5, did you say?
Yeah, so stage 5, so we then, from stage 5, we take it to stage 6, so then we put the floor joists on, so that's the first floor joists. Obviously scaffolding and everything starts going up then, and then you can really see that there's some building going on. It then takes it up to a stage 9, so that is what we call roof plate, where we bed the wall plate on, and the next section is ready for roof trusses. I think that's a bit exciting for when clients see the trusses go on, because it's starting to look like a
that's
house.
when it's actually the exciting. I see a lot on Instagram sometimes of customers getting excited when they can first.
Yeah, I've got a roof. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Amazing. So At which stage, and I could be wrong here, at what stage do our houses go up for sale? Is it a certain stage that they go up, or can they buy them kind of pre?
So generally speaking, it's build stage 5 or 6. So that's kind of when we'd release them for sale around that time. It's obviously dependent on where they are on the plot, on the site as well, for access and things like that. But generally speaking, say the earliest point would be build stage 5, which Gary said earlier is when the slab goes down and we can see exactly where that property is going to be. Amazing.
So at what stage, now that the house is starting to look like a house and not just some bricks and I was going to say mortar, is that the right word?
Bricks and mortar,
bricks and mortar.
Or stone and mortar,
So now it's starting to look like a house. At what stage do our customers get to visit them for the first time? Am I jumping ahead and it's a little bit later on, or is it around this point when it really depends
when they're reserving it. So we want every customer to have the same journey through the customer first journey. So whenever a customer would reserve the property, they would always have an opportunity to meet the site manager, go down through the development, obviously health and safety allowed if it's safe to get them down there. And they would see the plot, see where it is, regardless of what the build stage was. So everybody would have that opportunity to do that. Ideally, we want them to do that obviously before build stage 12, because that's the cut-off point for them ordering any extras and options.
Okay.
So we need to get them down to site with the site manager, let them have a look at where their plot will be and where it will stand.
That must be such an exciting time for the customers. What's it like kind of bringing the customers around for the first time to their house?
No, absolutely. It's fantastic because what's really good about my role and the guys on site is that family coming on site and they can see their dream home, and we're going to give them the keys a few weeks down the line. And I think it's that sort of showing them and explaining parts of the build, depending on what time we bring them during the construction. It could be on first fix, and as long as safeties are a key, and that's the sort of heart of what we do.
Absolutely.
But if it's safe and we can take them around at first fix, we're happy to do that. And then again, once it's been plastered, and like Debbie said, just keep updating them on progress. I think that's the key thing. That because they may want to say, because once the roof's on, we have a cut-off point for extras. As Debbie's just rightly said. And they may want extra TV points, socket points. Extra units, maybe more, another shower or whatever, and that's the time to put it in.
And which stage was the roof stage? Sorry, that was.
So the roof stage is a 10. So that's halfway through.
Amazing.
I think just with the new customer first, what we're talking to customers about now is certain milestones. So we're feeding back to the customers, and that's a really good thing when we're updating them to say we've reached the next milestone. So because sometimes the changes don't happen weekly. But there's key milestone points now that we're telling the customers about, where it's a really exciting times, all really exciting times that they can see the next stage in the build.
Definitely.
That's it, correct.
So we're at stage 10. What comes next after the roof?
So stage 10 then is basically top out and roof tile. And then we start dropping the scaffold. So that's when you see the shell of the house. And that's when external work start. So drainage, the dry formations, topsoiling, slabbing, etc. And then we sort of move on to the stage 12, 13 and 14, which is first fix. So we'll be putting in all the staircases, the windows, all the plumbing, the electrics, everything like that, getting it ready for air tightness, because it has an airtight inspection. And then we go on to the plastering stage.
Amazing. So again, just from a kind of, the customers obviously don't get to see all the kind of behind the scenes that your team does. From a sales point of view then, what communication are we giving to the customers throughout these stages?
So again, we're keeping in contact with them weekly, either if that's what they want. We say as a minimum we would contact them at every milestone. But generally speaking, we would say we'll call them every week. Sometimes preferred by email, sometimes they would like a call every week. And that's when you really get to know the customers. I know I spoke to you last week, but the windows have gone in, really key stages, that they're really exciting stages that they're like, and that's a lovely part of the job, actually, giving them those build updates and those, like this is where we're at now, and you can see the journey and take that journey with them, really. Which is really exciting.
I think it's great because kind of a lot of the sales team who I speak with about it, they always say how excited they get as well, even though they do it day in, day out, every customer that they speak to, because it's such a new experience for them.
Correct.
It's exciting every single time. Amazing. So next few stages.
Right, so next stages are then after the skim, it's then we come to 17 and 18. So that is all second fix trade. So that's joinery, so that's the doors, all the china going in, so your bathrooms, your basins, electric, so all the face plates. The kitchen as well starts going in, and then we start getting it ready, cleaned out, patched, ready for the next day, which is decoration.
The exciting stage.
Yes. Yeah.
So what kind of frequently asked questions would you get from customers when you have the Meet the Builder stage? What questions do you frequently get asked by our customers?
I think one of the first questions is, is running how the heating works, and that's a big fundamental part. Especially now we're going down the air source heat pump on a lot of our houses to comply with the zero carbon, and just understanding how the house to run the house in. Yeah. So making sure that that they do the right thing, so they're not going to create problems. Because everything's brand new, it's natural. There's a lot of water gone into the build. Yeah. That all has to dry out naturally. So a lot of ventilation, leaving doors ajar, especially cupboards, keeping the heating on low depending on the winter time, and just generally running the house in, a bit like a car sort of thing.
That is really funny
we've had some real car analogies this time, haven't we?
We've just had it. So we've just recorded a podcast, and I can't tell you if it'll be before or after this episode. We'll figure that one out. But we've just spoken with Adam and Daisy about air source heat pumps, and Adam kept referring back to cars and how an air source heat pump is similar to a car driving along the motorway, because you're not putting the pedal on too much, so you're kind of keeping it at a steady speed. I don't know if I'm explaining this right.
Yeah.
Well, whereas you're going through town and you're going on and off, and it's causing all of the.
You're absolutely good. It's like you don't want to be putting the heating on at 30 degrees. Yeah. Because that will just crack the house terrible. Because it's got to dry out naturally. Mm-hmm. So a nice 18 20 degrees with the vents open. You're always going to get some, because you've got natural materials. You've got plaster, you've got wood, you've got concrete, you've got mortar, paint. That's all liquid water based. That has to dry, so you will get a little bit of cracking, but it's perfectly normal for a new build.
Absolutely.
And it's a quick fix to when you redecorate.
Yeah. So what's the last stage then? What stage are we up to?
So basically we're up to number 19. So that's paint, and then the next two stages is the which I think's the sort of the icing on the cake. So it's final fix. So all the ironmongery goes on. All the letter plate, everything gets cleaned. We mastic, so everything gets masticed and sealed. We then do a full inspection and snag process. Yep. So at that point as well, we've been putting in landscaping, topping off dries, depending on if it's tarmac or gravel. And then the final stage then is the 21 is where we invite the inspector, the building inspector, NHBC inspector, to come and final the property. So they'll do the drain test and then look around the property in the loft, check everything very thoroughly before they issue us a CML certificate.
Amazing. And then we're over to handing the keys to the customers.
That's the best bit. Absolutely, by
Talk
far
us through that day.
Best bit of the day. We've already had the home demonstration then, but it's all about the unveiling. And, you can see the property building, but when the customer walks into that house on key release day, home demonstration day, it smells lovely. It's, again, let's go back to the cars. Yeah. It smells like a new car. It looks like a new car, and you're walking into a new home. It's clean. It's beautiful. The car, always wait to get into the kitchen. Yeah. Straight into the kitchen. Let's have a look at the kitchen, because that's kind of where everybody wants to see.
Definitely.
But just that whole, actually, handing the keys over. Yeah, best part of the job by far. It's fantastic. And people remember that. You're handing those keys over. We might do it 3 or 4 times that week. Yeah. But for them, that's a really special day.
Definitely.
And it's great to be part of that.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. No, I totally conclude with that, because it's when we do the handover and just seeing the delights on their face is fantastic. And when you give them the keys. And I think, me and the team, we've started it from putting the bucket in the ground to ordering the kitchen, ordering the blocks and keeping everything going to there's your house and now you're going to live in it. Yeah. So it's a real good, satisfying thing.
You must be proud to see kind of what you and your team have built from scratch.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think this is where pride in the job comes in. So just taking that extra care and attention to detail.
Definitely.
That's the win-win, and it's customers can see that, and it just gives everyone a nice house,
warm fuzzy feeling.
Yes, correct. Yes, yeah,
amazing. So I think we're coming to the end of the episode. Is there anything else that you guys have to add to our customers who are listening?
Well, I'd just love to say how fantastic it is working with the site team as well.
Yeah.
It really is a collaboration. I know Gary was talking about his team and building that, but I think the site and the build are one big team, and we kind of built it together. We've done the customer side of it, you've done the build side of it, but it does all just come together.
Yeah.
And both sides are equally as important. And
Yeah.
I think that relationship between sales and site is super, super important. And that's what makes it so great at the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And it's all about, once the move in, the journey doesn't end there. We go the next day, we knock on the door, we ask them if they've got any, is everything's okay. If there's any issues, we jump on it and we talk about it together. We have weekly meetings so that we're all aligned with what the customer.
Everybody's on the same
page.
Yeah.
And we keep doing that for how long it takes, because that's the important thing. It's not just about taking giving the keys and that's it. The journey actually we both look after that customer, and if there's any issues, we that comes first as a priority in my view, and you will then get satisfaction clients.
Yeah. I think it kind of comes through as well I work a lot on social and speaking to customers to kind of share their story and case studies, and a lot of the time the customers are really complimentary, obviously throughout the build stages, but they always say afterwards as well, because they've probably moved in, 3-4 months, so they've kind of settled in now, and then they do say if they are experiencing any snags, which is a natural thing in a new build home. It would be
man-made products.
Exactly. But they're always complimentary. If we've had a snag, then they've reported it on my Gleeson, and then the site team's come in and fixed it, and always been really friendly to deal with. So absolutely amazing. Well, Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I know you're extremely busy today, Gary, so I really appreciate it.
Yes, no problem.
And
you're welcome.
Deborah coming all the way down
thanks
from
for asking.
Huddersfield. So that is at 21 stages from slab to finish, and handing the keys over to our customers, and also afterwards. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube so you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at gleeson.homes, as well as TikTok, to see our behind the scenes snippets. Thanks for tuning in.